Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video, we're going to be going through Kuja's Lost Chapter, taking the Gods stage. And of course, we're going to be going through the hardest fight of the Lost Chapter, which is the hard mode part 14 of taking the Gods stage. Now for the older players, welcome back to the very first EX fight that we received. I think from memory it is the first one. I know the Lost Chapter was released in a different order, but I think that should have been the proper order, but global version sort of like surprised us with Kuja first. And I remember being really frustrated with this EX, but of course we're gonna take a look at this Lost Chapter, and I must say it's a lot easier with level 60 era. So let's get on with this video. And of course we are going to be starting with the weaknesses, resistances, and abilities of the Mother Weed. Now first off, the weaknesses, it has quite a lot of weaknesses actually. So it has weakness to fire, ice, water, and light elements. It does have one resistance to the dark element. As for its abilities, it has Tentacle Slap, which is a melee brave attack, Impale, which is the melee HP attack, which also inflicts poison and speed down. Then it has Munch, which is a melee brave attack, plus it also inflicts a defense down. Prickly Pummel, which is a group melee brave attack plus HP attack. Fetid Breath, which is a group brave magic attack and also has a high chance of inflicting blind, speed down, and poison. Next it has Stench, which is a group brave magic attack, which also has a high chance of inflicting blind, speed down, poison, attack down, and defense down. Next it has Photosynthesis, which grants itself an HP regen and a speed up. And it has Motherly Love, which grants itself a defense up, an attack up, and a brave regen to all allies. And finally, it summons the Weedlets with its assembly drum. Now one thing that the Mother Weed has actually as well is it has a low resistance to blind and speed down debuffs. Now let's take a look at some general tips and guides. So the first one, as always, is to save about 50% of your abilities. Actually, the boss actually doesn't have a ton of HP, has a decent amount, but not as bad as, you know, other Lost Chapters. The only thing here is probably when it summons its Weedlets, that will take away from your abilities. If you are struggling to kill it even before it summons its Weedlets, then you probably want to save a little bit more of your abilities. But if you are super hyper aggressive, it shouldn't even get to that point. Honestly, I actually beat this with two different teams and one without Kuja, and I was still able to get the score and, like, you know, push myself like to use my abilities each and every wave. Next up is obviously to bring in the boosted characters. In this case it's Kuja, Setzer, and Yuna. Now other characters that you might want to consider are again Lightning, Vincent, Beatrix, Lael, Ramza, Faris, Seymour, Thancred, Agrias, Vaughn, Bartz, Ace, Deuce. You can bring Papalymo, Alisaie, or Lilithset. Now obviously there are other characters like Rem that can take advantage of, Realm, that's I should say, that can take advantage of the boss's weakness depending on your summon. Now, there's really a ton of characters. The one thing that you want to avoid here is to bring someone who has dark base element attacks. So I'm looking at you, Dark Knight Cecil. Other than that, you can definitely bring any other characters as long as they're level 70 and they're decently geared. You shouldn't have any problem with this Lost Chapter. Now, as for the healers plus Brave Battery options, obviously you have your Rem, Selphie, Yuna, Eiko, Aerith, or Cait Sith. Now, personally, I use Eiko here because of her holy element with her smite. Yuna, honestly, Yuna is down in the tier list, but if you are struggling with the debuffs, if you keep getting hit by that, Yuna is probably the best choice. The other one that I want to bring up is going to be Selphie, because she does have that buff where you don't get debuff as much, so the percentage of getting debuff is lowered. So Selphie is actually pretty decent and pretty good in this particular Lost Chapter. As for the summon, I feel like Ifrit is the best choice here. You can obviously bring Bahamut as well. The other ones that, you know, like Leviathan, you can bring if you really want to, but it's gonna be either Ifrit or Bahamut for me. Now let's take a look at some general tips and guide for the fight itself. And the first one and last one is just bring Kuja. Honestly, if you bring Kuja here, this is like, even with his EX, this fight is like a piece of cake, basically irrelevant. Even just bringing a Kuja support can pretty much kill the last boss by himself, or at least take it down to like 50% or less than 50% by himself. Plus, you obviously have your other characters, and if you summon at the time where you get Kuja to come out as your support, I mean, this Lost Chapter just like Kuja basically obliterates the boss. Let's just put it that way. Now, mind you, I don't know if you're gonna get the high score because it's going to depend on your earlier waves and such, but honestly, just bring Kuja and you should be fine. But if you're not planning to bring Kuja, bring a debuffer or a buffer. Just basically, it's either you're gonna remove the boss's buffs or you're gonna remove your own debuffs on yourself. So you can push those away. It's gonna depend on what you want. Obviously, there are really good ones, debuffers right now, like Vanille, and obviously Faris is probably one of the best ones out there. Plus, the boss is weak to water elements, so Faris has an extra one going for her. And next one is for your summons, obviously to use it wisely. If you're planning to bring a Kuja as your support, you can actually use Kuja's EX first and then summon when your Kuja is when the support Kuja is his turn is next. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So you can take advantage of like Ultima 9+, and for like maybe 3 turns, and that will do a ton of damage, especially if you have a Brave Battery, which you should technically have one. So yeah, do a turn order. Especially the other one is obviously when you're doing a chase sequence. If you're planning to do a chase team, which I feel like will do well here as well, then make sure you summon in a good order. And finally, delay as much as you can. Setzer is still one of the most amazing characters that we have, especially when he's boosted with the freeze as well. It's gonna do well. Lightning, obviously, with her EX ability, you can delay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. There's really no I suppose real way to beat this because it doesn't really have a ton of HP, so you're gonna be like doing as much DPS and pushing the boss as much as you can, because you really don't want to get to the point where he uses stench or any of his debuffs ability. You really want to avoid that, because blind is basically going to kill you and waste a lot of turns as well. Alright, so now let's take a look some possible party composition. Obviously the first one is going to be Kuja, Setzer, and Yuna, because they are these synergy characters. As for support, you can bring Kuja there. You can easily bring Setzer as well. I feel like Ifrit is the best summon for this case. No explanation needed. Kuja basically makes this, this particular content like irrelevant. The next one is the first video that you guys saw, which is Kuja, Setzer, and Eiko with a Kuja summon. Again, basically I just switched around, Eiko here for Yuna. I feel like Eiko is probably the better choice. Support with Kuja, Ifrit, and Bahamut for summon. Either one you want, it'll work out. Next is the second video that you guys saw, which is considered. I just switched Kuja out for Lightning. So Lightning, Setzer, and Eiko, and you can have Kuja for your support, and obviously Ifrit or Bahamut for your summon. Now the last one I have here is the Chase team. If you're really struggling, I feel like the Chase team will do well in this one. The meta is sort of shifting away from the Chase team, but they are still quite relevant. They can still clear some content. So we are finally at the end of this video. What do I think of this lost chapter? Well, honestly guys, if you have Kuja, this lost chapter is probably one of the easiest lost chapter that we receive. If you don't have Kuja, just get the support Kuja and you will still be able to clear this lost chapter. So overall, even though it was one of the hardest EX fights during the level 50 era, it's just not it's just not up there when it comes to the lost chapters, like the difficulty level, especially the ones that we received recently. It's probably a little bit lower than those. It's a nice feeling to just be able to get like over 300 points, which is quite surprising. I never really gotten that. Usually I just sort of barely make it, or a decent number, but having Kuja here really helps. You can have Setzer, another Setzer for your support if you have Kuja, as you guys can see in this video. Now I know I said just get another Kuja support, but having another a Setzer is not a bad idea as well, because you're just pretty much gonna delay the boss further. I just said Kuja earlier because I feel like you would be better served doing a ton more damage rather than just keep delaying it. So, but I suppose it's just your own preference. But in any case, I think I'll end the video right here. There's really not much for me to say any further. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys what you think of this lost chapter, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming, and you can add me on Facebook as well at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.